Joe, it's great to be here on our inaugural our first episode.
Yeah,
first
Inaugural,
one. And this is one of many to come. You know, I'm really excited to be sitting down in this chair, in this exact outfit, actually, many times with you.
Absolutely.
In the coming days, weeks, and months ahead. And we want to just welcome all of our listeners to what is going to be a ride. Right, I would definitely say a ride. There's going to be a lot of knowledge exchanged. There's going to be a lot of growing.
Yes.
But I think what we're all here for, myself included, is to talk about space. Some called it the final frontier. I actually think it's always been there, and it is both imminent and far away. So, with that said, I'd like to just thank our sponsor, our future sponsor. So one of the things that Joe and I both believe is that space-time has been broken.
Right.
We have time travel is not only possible, it's going to happen. And a future sponsor of ours is Dude Perfect. So we've got our hats on, DP, and this is we're looking forward to the big bucks from their sponsorship. So we're just in advance going to talk about their Pandemonium tour, which is going on right now, and the last part of the tour is the only part you can get tickets for. So get your tickets quickly because they're going fast, and they're in Texas. So make your way to Texas. I already saw the tour, or I would be there with you. Joe's going to be in Texas.
Oh, totally.
So see him
100%.
there. Get yourself to Texas and go see Dude Perfect Pandemonium Tour 2023. Really excited. Great. It was a great tour, and it'll be great for all of you guys when you get there, and it'll be great for us when we get the big bucks from DP.
That's right.
Yeah, so we love them.
Who do we got here?
Yeah, our first guest is Bruce Mcgravy.
Bruce Mcgravy.
Yeah, he's he hails from the middle of Pennsylvania, Altoona, home of Sheets.
Okay.
And I think some other things too. And he's going to be, we're really excited to have him on. So, Bruce, come on up and join us here in the chairs, the three chairs. We're really excited to have you. Yeah, thanks. Great to have you, Bruce.
So good to have you, Bruce.
Would you like something to drink?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
We got Baja Blast.
We got Baja Blast.
Yeah, it feels great.
Yeah, we spare no expense on this podcast.
Not diet either.
No.
Good on you.
Well, you know, I like diet, but not for everybody.
Yeah.
So, Bruce.
Yeah.
It's great to have you here. And I know you know why you're here, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Lots of people in recent hours have made a connection between two things that were thought to be disconnected. These two things you knew were connected, and you've known this for years. Yeah. Bigfoot and outer space.
Yeah.
So, tell me, what is that connection?
Yeah. So, I mean, it really depends on what school of thought you want to come from. Because the reality is, while we all know Bigfoot exists,
right.
It's sort of like the concept of like water. So, you know, sometimes people know it exists within vapor form. Sometimes it exists within liquid form. Sometimes it exists within a super solid form. So it really all depends on what you're looking at. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So one of the schools of thought, we call it the vapor thought, is the idea that Bigfoot is actually very well connected to the aliens in a sense that one of the reasons we can't find him is because he travels with them. So think of if you look at a lot of evidence-based research. I will give a shout out. I know you guys aren't sponsored by them. I will give a shout out to my boys, Blurry Creatures.
We will be. Yeah.
We will. Yeah.
Space-time's broken.
Yeah. They are probably the leading, at least talkers on Bigfoot. And what they have found is that within the realm of Bigfoot sightings and encounters, oftentimes they are sometimes in almost like paralleled with abductions and lost time. Okay, so one of the things could be the idea that aliens, for instance, if they are among us.
Right.
If they happen to be shapeshifters, which there's a high chance there are.
Okay.
But if they happen to be shapeshifters, they could take the form of Bigfoot. But I actually don't really pertain to that so much. I feel like that's a little bit too out of left field.
Yeah.
I would say more so that Bigfoot is actually somewhat of, I don't want to say friends, because it's not like friends like you and I, or I, myself, and Joe. But they do work together in the sense of like the animal kingdom, right?
Oh.
Yeah. So, well, my point is. Oftentimes, that because these things are so associated together, I'm not willing to throw out the idea that Bigfoot is kind of like homies with not angels, but aliens, and the gray ones, the green ones. That's a whole other topic. But I'm not willing to throw out that idea. So that is possibly one school of thought.
Okay.
So Mcgravy, how big is the foot of Bigfoot?
How big? See, that's a good point. So another school of thought I would point to is the idea of possibly a biblical view of Bigfoot.
Okay, yeah.
So let's talk Nephilim. All right.
It's time.
Yeah. So Nephilim, there's if you look at anyone that is a studier of the Bible, there's generally two arguments.
Yeah.
Either giants. Now follow me here. So giants. Which were about maybe 7 foot. We're talking Goliath. These are the people that want to give kind of a more natural explanation to Goliath, and that he was just a really tall, beefy guy, kind of like a Shaquille O'Neal.
A Shaquille O'Neal type.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So not uncommon. We've seen those guys. There's other people that are willing to argue that these guys are actually 200 feet tall.
Oh, like even 200 feet?
Yeah.
Okay.
So with that being said, not 200 feet like as in multiples, but 200 feet as in stature.
As in stature. Yeah.
So
okay.
So that being said,
Like,
Bigfoot.
Just for our listeners, 200 feet. That's around, the size of some stadiums. I think actually PNC Park is roughly 200 feet to the highest level.
Yeah.
So okay, so
and there's certainly
PNC Park sized.
Yes, and there's certainly not evidence out there that we can say that that's not true.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I mean, there's no evidence that couldn't have happened.
Yeah. So. I'm of the theory that the Bigfoot is actually somewhat of a type of Nephilim. So think of your classic mythology figures. The half horse, half man, half bull, right?
Bull. Yep.
So I am of the somewhat of the school of thought that Bigfoot is a type of Nephilim. That being said, in the documented sightings that we do have of him, we know he's not 200 feet tall. All right.
Okay. That's interesting.
So now, we can start to narrow down. So now, if I look at the history of giants, we have somewhat decent evidence of them possibly being 200 feet tall, but more than likely, they're not. They're still incredibly tall, maybe 15, 16 feet
Super tall.
So Bigfoot, I would to answer your question, Joe. As we go to land this spaceship, right?
Yeah, I like what you did there.
Yeah. So as we go to land this spaceship, I would say that by my estimations, based on personal experience as well as listened research, I would say that his foot is probably, I would estimate, like a size 16, size 17 shoe. Yeah.
So you would be in the group that the craters on the moon are not Bigfoot's footprints.
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
I mean that needed to be put out there.
No, I agree because
right.
I don't want to say that kind of a view is like a pseudo-scientific view, but I think it's fair to say that the science is lacking in terms of like. And it's just I'm just glad to hear that you're not in that camp.
Yeah. I the science. I'm a science guy by the end of the day, and for me, it's like in the same way that we're not really sure of the existence of aliens, but like it's not out of the question.
I'll say on this podcast we're positive.
We're positive.
We're positive.
We feel it's like that's a foregone conclusion for us.
Okay.
And I understand that there's
in the same, I'm not willing to throw out the possibility of I don't know how. I wouldn't say that necessarily Bigfoot is that like homie relationship, but I think there is something to be said about when we look at even just like general animal kingdom environments, cultures there there's ways that they kind of play off each other. You know, kind of circle of life sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
everything kind of works together.
I'm familiar with that.
So when it comes to the supernatural and extraterrestrial, I don't think that they're too far out of the same category.
So you mentioned the circle of life.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. What kind of creatures would a Bigfoot eat? Okay, because is it like a whale eating krill? Like this weird, like you could not have predicted that? Or is it like maybe Bigfoot eats an angel? And an angel would eat like an alien.
Yeah.
And an alien would eat something else that then circles around and eats a Bigfoot.
Yeah. I'm more naturalistic in my mind.
Okay.
Much more like not super far off from, say, a bear.
A bear. Okay.
Yeah.
So you would eat like a bear.
Yeah, like a bear will actually eat a lot of like plants and vegetables and like berries and stuff. But like, you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
Eat a fish.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta eat a fish to, you know, break a few eggs.
Do you think that Bigfoots, are there more than one? Actually, that's probably the first thing.
Oh,
big feet.
absolutely.
Well, that's
Right.
grammatically correct. Thank you.
Right.
I appreciate the
Sorry about
correction.
that. Yeah.
No, thank you. Well, I'll do better.
Yeah.
So there are big feet?
Yeah, I do believe that there are multiple big feet. I think it's silly to think that in the same way of, you know, as if there's one that's just been walking around for years.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of silly to think that. To me, it just kind of makes more sense to say, all right, there are multiple big feet
At least
attached to multiple big feet.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you feel like so they probably don't hunt in packs, but do you think the big feet are dangerous to humans?
You know, that's an interesting thought, and I don't know that I have landed solely on any sort of given perspective, only because there seem to be a lot of conflicting reports. You know, there's certain reports where, because the question arises, are these dangerous creatures?
Right.
There are reports actually of these Bigfoot creatures actually serving
Yeah.
and saving certain humans from catastrophes.
Do you have any like specific reports you could point to?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of generalized like listened research, but you know, there's this report of one guy. He was in a car wreck, and he woke up, and you know, he felt himself getting dragged away from the car wreck by something that. You know, this is getting deep into lore, so we don't have to get here too much, but sometimes Bigfoot have a very pungent smell, and so he kind of recognized a lot of those characteristics concerning Bigfoot as he's getting dragged away. There's been reports of Bigfoot saving people from being drowned. And so, but then there's also reports of Bigfoot almost like haunting people in a sense, almost in a physical sense, where because they can be very territorial.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so, you know, I did grow up in central PA. Now, I'm not saying I have or haven't seen Bigfoot, but I can attest to my many years in the woods that certain things, for seemingly no reason, seem to spook deer. All right, and what I've found is that in a lot of
just like from a credibility standpoint, like how many days would you say you've spent in the woods?
Oh, okay, so
yeah.
I mean, we're talking, I would say at bare minimum, 724.
724 minimum.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a lot more days than I've spent in the woods. Have you pooped in the woods?
Yes, I have.
Okay, well that's pretty good. So you pooped in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
You spent over 700 days in the woods.
Yeah.
I think for our listeners, that's probably helpful information.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So continue.
Yeah. No, I mean, all that to say, I think that there's been times where I've noticed that I've lost time in the woods as I'm hunting. Now that could be for various reasons,
That
but
could be aliens.
I'm not willing to rule out the fact that there's some kind of extraterrestrial activity going on in association with Bigfoot.
Okay.
You know, it could be because I fell asleep, but that one's not as incredibly likely to me.
Okay.
Because you know, I just don't think. I feel like it's not that likely. But what I found is that, you know, as I spent time in the woods, there are just some things you come across that you can't explain. You
Yeah.
know, Why is a porcupine walking out in the middle of the day? I don't know. I shot it, but why is that happening? I don't know, right? Why is it that just as I go to poop in the woods, a deer walks out? You know, there's just a lot of these, like, you know, that just doesn't make, like, almost like stories
You've seen Bambi, right?
Oh yeah.
How many humans did you see in that?
That's my point.
Right?
That's my point.
Fair enough.
I
like where you're at.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm not willing to rule out the fact that there might be some extraterrestrial activity going on. You know, I would even be willing to say that, you know, so if we look at a biblical standard of angels and demons, there are schools of thought that would say, well, aliens sort of take on that sort of that embodiment. Some people would actually say that within the giants world of the Old Testament, giants are the embodiment of demons. Okay.
Wow.
So if we follow that logic, there's a good chance that aliens might be in the embodiment of that as well. And so I'm not willing to necessarily rule out that you know, there are some extraterrestrial components to Bigfoot if he happens to be descended from the Nephilim, as in the same way that aliens would be.
This is enlightening.
Yeah, this is great.
This is enlightening.
So, Bryce, you know, I mean, it's been great having you on. This
Yeah.
has been, I've learned a lot. I think we all have.
Yeah.
I definitely think that there is a strong connection between aliens and Bigfoot. There's not even that many dots to connect. There may be like 3 or 4 really. And so I feel a lot more confident in Bigfoot, which I think is alarming, but also comforting in a weird way.
Yeah.
You know, we're not alone, that kind of thing. My last question to you, and you know, feel free to get a little crazy with this one.
Yeah.
You've been pretty tame in terms of your theories. Like, these are things I've heard you say before, and on other shows kind of like ours.
Yeah.
But I know that you've got some sort of wilder theories in terms of Bigfoot and aliens. And this is really, so my question is sort of pertaining to, has Bigfoot ever entered a spaceship? You spent a lot of time in the woods. Sorry, I get emotional when you spent a lot of time in the woods.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me a little bit about whether you've seen, I'm sorry. Bigfoot in a spaceship. Sorry. It's just a lot.
No, I
You
mean,
know, we're just like,
I appreciate it. You know,
we've been persecuted for so long. You know, like, people don't believe in this stuff.
that's what I'm saying.
they
You
We've
don't.
been
know,
laughed at.
They
we've
don't
been
believe
called
in
all
this stuff.
No,
Yeah.
like, and all the evidence that people have found for the history of these things for decades, laughed at. And then the History Channel did that aliens thing. Remember the pyramids thing? And it's changed everything. The whole discussion has become rational.
yeah.
And so it's just like, so I'm sorry. When you've been persecuted for so long, and then suddenly you're taken seriously,
Yeah.
it can elicit a lot of emotion. So I apologize.
No,
Please,
I appreciate that.
Bigfoot in a spaceship.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I think you're right. Like, you know, it's this frustrating dichotomy that, you know, we're so willing to say 2 + 2 = 4, right? We're so willing to say that
That's so obvious.
that 12 + 12 = 24. We're willing to say the obvious things, right? But the minute that someone points to and says, I found this big, large thing that looks like a footprint in the woods, the minute that someone says, I had this pungent smell as I was out in my cabin just trying to cook dinner, and this thing was knocking on my door and it was on my roof. You know, the minute that people have these things, we're just willing to laugh at them. We're willing to say, you don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy. And honestly, that in a sense, that's a lot. That makes it seem like that our experiences aren't valid. And it's just
exactly right.
incredibly frustrated because, yeah, we can point to the obvious things and the things that make us feel safe.
Yep.
But, when are we going to actually look at the reality of the world around us and say, all right, Bigfoot probably exists, and here's why. And the reality is, if we're going to say that, then that means aliens got to exist. Okay, so all that to say, what was your initial question was how, I'm sorry, I just get really fired
like
up.
Bigfoot in a spaceship.
Bigfoot
Has
in a
it happened?
spaceship. Has it
Have
happened?
you seen it?
If a tree falls in the woods, does someone see it? Maybe eventually, right? So I gotta believe that in the thousands of years that Bigfoot has been around, I think it's actually preposterous to say that it hasn't happened. I would think that if we're willing to say, all right, it's likely that aliens exist and it's likely that Bigfoot exists.
Yeah.
Aliens, if they probably know more about our world than we do about ourselves, and so I gotta say that Bigfoot has probably most definitely been a spaceship for a number of reasons, whether that's for experimental purposes. There's a guy on Blurry Creatures. He's a scientist and a biblical expert. He has certainly of the mindset that aliens do a lot of experiments on humans. Yeah, that's okay. Aliens experiment on humans and other sort of species. They're just trying to learn about our world in the same way that we experience on monkeys, on rats, on mice. And so given their technology, I would say, yeah, they're probably looking at the things that we haven't even touched the surface of yet.
Mcgravy, there's a theory out there that Bigfoot can power the rocket with his own feces. I mean, I think if you put all the pieces together, it's like, how could you say that Bigfoot hasn't been on a rocket?
Yeah.
I mean,
when
I
people
agree.
are putting that together already,
Yeah.
you're like, and he hasn't been on a rocket?
Right.
No way.
2 + 2 = 4.
It might as well be obvious, right? Might as well just be a law of nature. I don't understand why people are not willing to point and say, all right, like, yeah, he exists. Who gives a rip if we have never caught him on a trail camera? In fact, doesn't that make it more likely then that he exists if we haven't caught him, given what we know about him? He's not going to get caught like that. No way.
No.
Deer get caught like that. These things that like have the brain the size of this, right?
Yeah, but Bigfoot, who could power rockets with his poop.
Right.
Obviously, that guy, when he's a genius.
Yeah.
And that he could even create a machine that uses poop like that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so obviously he's not going to get caught on a camera. Like, that's ridiculous.
No, because at this point we're no longer saying he's just another bear in the woods.
No way.
We're saying this is something more. This is something maybe inhuman. I think it's a false thought to think that it'd be as simple as we're gonna catch them on a trail camera. Listen, if we can't catch aliens by pulling out our phone, what makes you think we can catch Bigfoot off of a trail camera that has not nearly as good footage and quality?
So true, McGravy.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. And no humans operating at the time.
Exactly.
So, Bruce, this has been it's been enlightening. I really appreciate it. Thank you for answering our questions.
Yeah.
Is there anyone that you'd want to thank? We like to give people an opportunity to be thankful.
Absolutely.
Just to thank as you're leaving, just literally one person that you'd want to thank that helped you get to this point where you could be on a show like this.
Yeah. There's there's a guy. He's you can go check him out. He's on the very first episode of Blurry Creatures, but he is a Native American gentleman from the Washington area, Washington State, and I think he was the first one that really validated just my experience, and so I would like to say thank you to that gentleman. He awesome. A guy that was really a pioneer and lived off of the land in order to avoid paying taxes. For me, that's just incredibly inspirational. And that, like I said, that just really validates my own experiences of in the woods. These things I just can't explain, but I know I know what they are, though. Maybe not by the realities of standard science, but science changes, it evolves. We used to think that Zeus threw lightning bolts down from heaven. What's to say that this will also be one day explained?
Yeah, that's really great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bruce. This has been enlightening, guys. Again, thank you everyone for joining us online or on Spotify or whatever social media platform you're using or other platform. Again, our future sponsor, Dude Perfect. We're really thankful for you guys for eventually going to give us money so that we can continue to make high quality shows like this about outer space.
That's right.
I'm Nate. This is Joe. This is our Bigfoot expert, Bruce Mcgravy. We're signing off till next time.